Hello, Leo. Welcome to your reading for the week of October 12th through 18th. We're going to open up the energy of the reading today with the Coyote Spirit. And this one says, trust in divine detours. I wonder if this is a week for detours or if this is a week of recognizing that those detours that we've been on have been for our highest good and our greatest benefit. Yeah? So let's find out. We're going to use the Thoth Tarot today and see what we come up with. There's a Chariot. Okay. We got a Four of Pentacles. I wonder if now there's kind of this idea of, we have taken these detours, but we're realizing that there is stability and there is safety that's being sort of, that's being built up through these detours. Okay, so the detours, maybe things haven't always gone as planned, but I think things are always working out okay. We have a Hermit, Five of Wands, the five-fingered hand. We have a little art or temperance card. We have that Ace of Wands as well for you. We have, the Prince of Wands. That is your superpower card. So I feel like this is a magical time for you. I feel like a lot of you are pushing forward. We have a lot of good fire energy, very strong energy here. 10 of Wands, 4 of Wands even, and we have a Prince of Swords as well. Yeah, I feel like a lot of you have this kind of momentum. I feel like you've got a lot of wind in your sails right now, and I feel that there is a lot of accomplishments that are getting very, very close for you. And I think that you would agree it's been a little bit of a different kind of journey this time around. Maybe this past year, maybe really your entire life feels like it's been a lot of detours. It's been a lot of kind of having a plan and then having to improvise kind of along the way for that plan, yeah. Let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. And we're going to set it down right here with Alien Simon Mork Ripley right there on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. We'll tie everything together. Will give us the confirmation that we need. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card is, put your prediction in the comments down beneath the video, okay? Now, as we look around the room, we do see major, a nice vertical pillar of spiritual energy. We see fire, a lot of fire for you, Leo. I think that it's really that, it's a creative time, it's an active time, it's a time for strength, it's a time for keeping going despite the detours, and trusting in those detours. And I think you have that kind of, you have that trust right now, yeah. We've got, as usual with this cycle, there's not a lot of water energy. In fact, we don't really see much of that at all. I think it's kind of bound up in the Chariot card, which is a Cancer energy, and so that's kind of a water sign. So I think there is, a little bit of this, almost family energy. I feel like the water right now is bound up in you with the Chariot card, you kind of like protecting what you're doing, you staying loyal and devoted and committed to your bigger goals, And so I think that you're in this kind of fortified mode where you are protecting something that is very important to you, protecting the progress, the momentum, and keeping your eyes on those goals, We don't even have really we have a little bit of air energy, but not much. And we have a little bit of earth energy too, but not much. It's mostly fire, It really is a lot of fire. Even the Sagittarius energy is some big time fire. So let's start with our Chariot, because I feel like this is going to be a week of continued momentum. I think your focus and your determination are focused and determined. I think that you have the goals in mind, whether these are at home, at work, at school, personal goals, professional goals, whatever your wishes are, whatever your dreams are. I feel like you're making a lot of progress toward them. I feel like this is going to be a week of, sustained effort. And I think also progress. I think you're going to see that Four of Wands. We have that as well. So I feel like there is that accomplishment energy that's happening. This is a card of discipline. Okay, you're balancing your emotions with your willpower. And I think that you are You're learning how to manage your emotions. You're learning how to not freak out when there is a detour. Even just on a daily, right, when there's detours. We kind of wake up in the morning with this idea of what we're going to do today. And, well, then life happens. And our whole day is a detour. And I think that you're learning how to enjoy that, first of all, but also learning that those detours are part of the plan. You know, and you're trusting in those a little bit more, the divine detours, yeah. And I think that you find usually those detours have, the detours tend for you to be like a shortcut, you know. I think it kind of takes you to your goal a little bit faster or in a different way where maybe there's a little more scenery along the way, you know. There may be some hint of conflict this week, but I feel like your strength and your discipline are going to kind of steer things back to a harmony or steer clear of some of these conflicts that you may start to see them pop their heads up, and you'll know, and then you just steer around them, okay? Or even kind of not let them grow into some kind of bigger thing or bigger argument. Yeah, does that make sense? Stay centered, okay? If distractions and things do sort of pull you away, stay focused on your goals. Even when there are detours, you've got to stay focused and determined, okay? We don't want to let the detours really like derail our plans or the goals that you have right now. So there is a lot of momentum behind you. I feel like you are still in control of your chariot, even when the road ahead is closed and you've got to make this weird right turn and you don't know what's down there. You know, you've got to stay strong. You know, and you got to stay committed. Yeah, I think you do have your eyes locked on that bigger goal, and I think that you're making consistent wins. I think it's consistent progress. The milestones seem to be happening for you, and I think that it really is like every day just trying to push the ball down the field a little bit more. It doesn't seem like there are these big leaps and bounds. It feels like it's, you know, another day, I cross some stuff off my list, that's a good day, you know. And we're making that steady progress. And I think that's kind of that's the name of the game. I do feel like that for some of you, there is this kind of family thing. There might be something going on with the home or with family members or people who live in your house with you, okay? That might be where some of this conflict energy is coming from. And I think that it's important that if there is the hint, you get a whiff of conflict, that you either try to nip it in the bud quickly or steer clear of it, okay? And stay focused on the important things that you're working on this week, okay? And I think you are getting the win. I think this week is going to be a win. And maybe what we're looking at is this, you know, these divine detours, that maybe it feels like you had this plan to go straight to the goal, but all these detours maybe took you in a very windy road, a very circuitous route to get to that goal. And maybe for some of you, this Four of Wands and Four of Pentacles is like finally a win. You know, that there is some specific goal that you've been trying to reach, and the detours have taken you all over the place. I think finally we're arriving somewhere. You know, there is this Four of Pentacles of stability, security, okay, that you're reaching this kind of a landmark. Okay, I think it's a good week to protect what is yours, to have boundaries. Don't hold on too tightly to anything this week, because I feel like this is going to be a good win. This is going to feel nice. It's going to feel like it gives you a nice foundation. It's like finally we're getting to solid ground. But you're going to be moving on from this, you know, next week as well. This isn't the end zone exactly, right? So pay attention to where your fears might be kind of coming into play when we get this Four of Pentacles and we feel this sort of stability. We don't want to hold on too tightly with that. We don't want it to turn into any kind of, you know, we don't want it to feel too comfortable, you know. This is also, to me, a card of the home, of us taking care of things in our personal lives. This is a card of good habits and good routines, okay? To maintain something that we've already built, to protect something and secure something. But also, this is part of that slow, steady progress. Okay, you're creating very firm foundations in your life. And in some ways, this is a card of trust as well. Okay, security and I think really strong foundations for you in your life are going to come through trusting yourself, trusting the universe, trusting the detours, trusting that coyote spirit, right? And trusting the people that are around you, the people in your life. Okay. Hermit energy under the surface here. Yeah, I think you're avoiding conflict for sure. Okay, I think you have a little bit of that cloak of invisibility on where you're trying to just stay away from anything that might, take your energy from you or steal your time away from you. You're trying to stay focused, because if it feels like life is taking you on all these detours, well, it really makes you pay attention, right? Because we're not just going on the familiar road, we're sort of off-road now. We're off trail a little bit. So it requires that you pay a little bit more attention to what you're doing in life. And it could be that you're working on a particular project, and it may be that it's really not going according to plan. It's not progressing in the familiar and expected way. So I feel like, when there is that kind of unfamiliar territory, it makes you kind of perk up a little bit, and you're saying, well, I better look around. I better really pay attention to what I'm doing right now, because this isn't just the same old thing that I've always been doing. Yeah. And that Four of Pentacles maybe is part of that familiar routine. But then we have, of course, this other fire energy, the Five and the Ace, and of course, all the fire over here. That might be saying, look, things are not going to go as planned this week, that it's not going to be the familiar road for either generally in life or for a particular goal or project that you're working on right now. So the Hermit is kind of, in a way, spending time alone, okay? Looking for that inner wisdom, making space and making time for yourself in order to stay vigilant, okay? I think you're seeking wisdom from your own inner voice. I think it's a good time for paying attention, for journaling, for meditating, for staying centered within yourself, okay? I think that a little bit of solitude is needed this week in order for you to gain perspective on what you're doing, because it does feel like there's been a detour, okay? And when when suddenly you find yourself in unfamiliar territory, it's like, when you're, that old joke when you're looking for a house, you're driving down the road and you're looking for a particular house, the address on the house, and you turn the radio down so you can see better. That's kind of what this card feels like for you. It's just like, let's turn down the noise so we can get a good idea of where we are and what the next steps need to be, so we can get that win this week. Yeah, so we can get there. Because it feels like it's not just the familiar thing, which we could just do it on autopilot. The Hermit's not autopilot. The Hermit has to really find the answers and no, everybody be quiet. I'm trying to concentrate, And I feel like that inner light is helping to guide your steps this week. And I feel that it's, you're going to find your way and you're going to get that win. But I just think it's going to require a little bit more attention because it is the unfamiliar territory. Yeah. So I feel like our coyote spirit is really in play this week. You got a Five of Wands back here. This may be a little competition. Something's kind of testing your patience a little bit. But, the five-fingered hand, the Five of Wands to me is like we're reaching out and we're actively striving for something. Okay, it could be that there is some tension in your life or some different opinions, some kind of a clashing energy that's taking place. But this might be part of that detour, that things just weren't as as routine and easy as we thought they were. So there's this kind of detour. They're saying, oh, maybe you didn't expect there to be any competition, you know? You didn't expect anybody to run against you, and suddenly now there's more of a challenge, right? So I think that it could be some unexpected opposition or unexpected competition. I don't feel like it's disastrous in any way. I feel like it's allowing you to sharpen your skills a little bit. It's not really a blockage. I feel like it's just it's an opportunity for you to sort of show what you're made of, I guess. Yeah. But definitely don't waste any energy in pointless battles. Focus where the struggle really matters. Channel your fiery energy into those healthy kind of outlets and those healthy steps that you need to take. Yeah, I think this is, I think there's a definite kind of message here. And it feels to me like, yeah, things are not as familiar. Like the rhythm kind of the Four of Pentacles, it seems like it's not quite there. And maybe that's a good thing, because maybe what this energy here is saying is that you're kind of expecting this week to be like, just like any old week, right? No, I feel like there's a little something extra this week. And it's kind of like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be there. Well, let me put my energy into it and let me claim that win, you know? It's not just going to be a rhythmic, routine, Groundhog's Day kind of same as last week kind of thing. It's going to be something different, okay? Something out of the ordinary that's requiring you to kind of perk up and say, oh, let me put my energy, let me put my effort, let me focus on this. And this can be a big win. Maybe an unexpected opportunity. It may be, I think whatever it is, it feels like it's an unexpected opportunity for you to show your stuff. Okay? You have a Temperance card, Art card, balance, moderation. Yeah, I think there's cooperation here. We're trying to avoid extremes. This is a week to compromise, perhaps, and move gently and stay balanced. And really, it's not allowing ourselves to really freak out when we get that detour. Yeah. So this is somebody that can stay very, very centered and very balanced when they're in that unfamiliar territory. It's like we're not letting our emotions get the best of us. And we're certainly not just kind of going wild with this fire energy, that we're trying to have discipline and control over this fire energy. So even with that, that competitive Five of Wands, we're not letting that sort of dominate. We're avoiding the extremes. We're looking for peace and clarity so that we can take advantage of this unexpected divine detour and we can turn it into a win. Okay, we can get that jackpot that we're after. Okay, so we're trying to move gently, but with confidence. The blending together of that fire and water. This is a pressure cooker, and I think that there's probably a lot more pressure than we would like. There's a lot more fire here. It feels like it's a pressure cooker that really is put over really high heat. Yeah. And so when you're in that kind of pressure cooker, and it's kind of a situation that's it's gonna require you to endure and to step up and to face it and to be a little competitive. And that's good. You certainly have the fire energy for that. But we need a little bit of that resting energy, a little bit of that soothing, healing energy, a little bit of the cooperation, a little bit of the gentleness. Basically, we need a little fire to go with all the water. I mean, you know what I mean. We need a little bit of water to go with all the fire. So, I think that it's important that we try to proceed with that cooperation and the compromise, peace and clarity, a little bit of gentleness, because it's going to be a situation that really stokes the fire. It really gets you motivated, yeah? And that's a good thing. We want to temper that with the gentleness and that sort of thing. So try not to go to the extreme this week, especially when there is this detour, this other opportunity that arises. And I feel like this with the Ace of Wands here, this is that creative fire that's lighting up, okay? To me, this feels like it's a very exciting opportunity, a burst of energy, and it's like, this is the detour. And it's like, ooh, this detour might be really lucrative. It might be a really good thing. If I put the effort into it, hot dog, we could make something out of this. Yeah. So I feel like this is you saying yes to that exciting detour. It feels like it carries the seed of something very important. Okay. And I think that you are, you're kind of going with this idea. You're protecting this. You're trying to stoke this fire. You're adding fuel to it. Okay, this feels like it's the beginning of something that's different than the normal week. Okay, it's not going to be just a repeat of last week. There's going to be something extra. And well, when you add, an ace to a 4, you get the 5, and the 5 is change. So the 4 is us expecting just the same routine week. It's going to be just another week. It's going to be just like last week, and that's your weather report. No, this is saying there's an unexpected thing coming in that could really lead to greater success for you. Yeah. Now, please hit the like button if you haven't yet. That helps to push this video out to everybody that needs to see it. All right, I appreciate that. And keep those comments coming in. Let me know if this is resonating with you. Let me know kind of what you were expecting this week and how you think things might go a little differently than we expect. Yeah. But you have your superpower card. You have your Prince of Wands here, and this is your vision. This is a fixed fire energy. It's you are staying motivated. This is the cruise control. You can see the bigger picture, and you are just saying, yeah, you know what? Life's given me a detour, but it's like you don't skip a beat. You have this leadership energy. You're inspiring other people. You have passion. You have that clarity. And you're trusting in yourself. You're trusting in your inner lamp of your hermit that you can guide this ship to a success, okay? And it might be there's just a little side hustle opportunity, this little side thing that it's just like, well, ooh, maybe you could go, and if it's money, like maybe you can go, and this would be a nice little side job or something where you can make some extra money. Yeah, it could be a change of plans that presents itself very suddenly, or it could be part of a project you're doing, or just it could be where you're traveling or what errands you're running this week. You know what I mean? But this is you being very decisive and not skipping a beat. It's like when this detour shows up, we're not just freaking out and breaking down and slamming on the brakes. You're moving steadily forward. I think there's a certain mastery of your fire energy that's bringing long-term success. And I think this is a week where you're going to get a very big win. It's going to be part of this larger picture. And the thing we have to do, though, is avoid our 10 of Wands here. The 10 of Wands, this, responsibilities, may feel that this detour is bringing you too much responsibility, too much, heaviness, too much burden. So you may be feeling this heaviness in your life right now, especially when it comes to your relationships. It may feel as if this is one more thing for you to do, but someone else in your life doesn't have to do it, or it's like it's just the responsibility's on you, but not the other person or not anybody else, right? So it's a good time to be honest about how much you're carrying. And if this feels like too much, ask for help. Ask your people, your person, or your coworkers or whatever to sort of lighten the load, to pitch in a little bit, and maybe even, to release things that aren't your burden to carry anymore anyway. And maybe there is this detour that is saying, well, I'm going to take this detour. It means I don't need that other stuff that I was going to do over there. Okay? That for this week, at least for this week, I'm not saying permanently. I'm saying maybe this week, if this detour shows up for you, then it means you can hit pause on other things. And you could take advantage of this detour and try to get that win. And then next week, you sort of go back to business as usual. This is business unusual, right? The 4 of Pentacles might be business as usual. But, delegating, sharing, simplifying tasks, this week, if there is this detour energy for you, and even if there's not, just for all of us this week, if there are ways that we can make our life easier, let's do it. How can we lighten the load so that we have more energy to put in what's going to make progress? So for this week, how can we turn down the volume on other things so we can amplify our energy on what's going to give us, a quick sort of win? Because I think you're in need of that. And so it doesn't mean that we're going to go after the low-hanging fruit, but I think it means that we're sort of realizing like, okay, what can I accomplish this week? What goal can I have for this week that says, by Sunday I want to have that win? What's one thing that we can set for? What's one goal we can set for ourselves this week? And then we can say, okay, well, that means that I got to turn down the attention on these other things because I'm going after that win this week. Okay? Carrying everything, at the same time is going to be too much. So you got to set some things down and say, okay, I'm going after this very specific goal. So let's set one goal for ourselves this week. That's reasonable, but is also challenging. You don't want it to be too easy because then we wouldn't need all this fire energy and it would be kind of overkill, right? But the Four of Wands here, there is this celebration or milestone that's available to you. There's joy and harmony here, okay? And this is, this to me feels like you're accomplishing, you're setting a goal, you're going through, you're doing all the work, and you're completing. This is a card of completion. It's also a card that may be suggesting home and family stuff, like we talked about with the Four of Pentacles. It could be a goal around the house or something like that, right? But this is by the end of the week, you're going to be looking back and you're going to be recognizing how far you've come. And I think that this is a very important milestone for a lot of you. I think it's a time to gather with others and celebrate. I think that there's some recognition that's coming from this, and it almost feels like there's a popularity, I feel like this is it's maybe embracing the detour and just saying, okay, it's deviating from your main work, but this is a win that you really need. Okay, it could be that you have this expectation for what your week will be like. Spirit gives you a detour, and maybe at first that detour is frustrating. But maybe putting your effort and your time into that detour is going to really bring you blessings. It's really going to be like, at the end of the week, you're going to say, I'm glad that I did that. I'm glad that this came up. I'm glad that this happened. Maybe it's just a different series of events than you were expecting, or a different obligation that came up, or an invite or something like this, a new opportunity. And I think you're going to be very satisfied and very happy, very pleased, and very thankful that you decided to take the detour, even though maybe some of you are going to feel like it took you away from like your main work. Yeah. It's a divine detour. Trust in them. Because I feel like it's leading you to a win, a sense of accomplishment. Yeah. I want to do a manifestation oracle card before we talk about our Prince of Swords. And here we have real connection. Honor your divine essence and seek support from community. I find my spirit tribe. Okay? So maybe this is a detour that's really leading you to something that is really, really good for you and something that's really needed in your life. And you're just kind of at first frustrated that, I kind of like the routine that I was in. I like the rhythm. And now suddenly there's like this, something's breaking my flow, But I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be a blessing in disguise for you, okay? The Prince of Swords is a fixed air energy. It's a card of, rational leadership, fairness, authority, using your logic to make very good decisions. And this, it could be really saying, like, let's not be so rigid in our mind to where any kind of deviation from the expected course of events frustrates us too much. Okay, now I'm neurodivergent. I like things to be predictable. I like my day. I like to know what I'm doing every day. I don't really like surprises, but I've learned that sometimes life will give us a surprise in any given day. And if we embrace that surprise, then we could probably have a pretty good time. It might lead us to having a nice, enjoyable afternoon, or lead us to some kind of profit or win that we didn't know that we needed. Okay? And so when something unexpected pops up for you, that detour, I think this is the card that says your mind needs to be flexible. You have to be able to say, okay, that's not what I was planning, that's not what I was expecting, that's not the routine that I was already geared for, but I can pivot, I can shift. We have to be mentally flexible with this card, yeah? Let's look at the mystery card. What is this one going to be? Well, I want some water energy. I think that's some satisfaction. Really, with all this fire here, maybe this divine detour is going to bring you some really good water, refreshing water energy. Maybe it's just going to be, well, it's not just going to be hard work as usual, business as usual, grinding away at life. Maybe it's going to be, hey, you get a little bit of relaxation, you get a little success, you get a win, you reach a milestone that's going to allow you to kind of celebrate for a few minutes. Bring in a little bit of that refreshing and soothing water energy. So I'm expecting water anyway. Let's see. Nope, Emperor. Yeah, Emperor. And this is your ability to control the situation, but it might even be a lesson that says, look, we can't control everything. The divine detour, we can say, all right, well, it wasn't what I expected or what I wanted, but I'm strong enough to sort of steer my chariot down that detour and handle whatever that is. Make the most of whatever that detour is. A detour maybe is going to take you the scenic route. Maybe it's going to take you to a really cool restaurant that you never knew you wanted to go eat at. I think that the Emperor here has to be, kind of strong enough to handle those kinds of detours, right? This is a card of structure and order and clear direction. It's leadership, it's confidence. There's discipline and routine with this card too, especially with the Chariot and the Four of Pentacles. It's kind of like you're in that routine day after day, week after week, and now suddenly there's a detour. How do you handle that? How do you protect what you've been building, but not be so rigid that you're you're missing out on all these other opportunities that may be coming? Okay? You're showing your discipline and your authority, you're showing your strength by being flexible, and by leading with example and by saying, okay, you know what? I am the leader, I am in control, and I am strong and confident. And something unexpected has popped up, and what better time for you to show your strength and your leadership and your confidence? Okay? So I think that this is really your ability to handle change, your ability to handle something deviating from the norm or from the expected flow. This is how you handle things that happen outside of your control. See, the Emperor sometimes, part of the shadow side of the Emperor is that we feel like we can control everything. Yeah, we can't. And so the Emperor has to realize that, we're not really controlling anything in life. What we're doing is we're just managing our responses to the world. Yeah. So I like this. Now we're going to click on through to the extended reading. I hope you will join me. There's a join button right down there. We're going to do our I Ching hexagram. We're going to do oracle cards. We will clarify love and money. All right. Leo, I thank you. I love you. And we're all in this together.